Alright, what's up guys? Okay, so in the last video we worked on completing our security filter chain method. So in this video I wanna proceed towards creating our authentication controller. So basically within this controller, this is where we're gonna log in, and also we're gonna use the very same class, controller class, to register the user. Like I said, the registration part will come later. For now, I just want to complete everything else that I think is a bit confusing, and then work with the easy stuff later. So the first thing I want to do is come here within the controller class here, and then I'm going to create another controller. I'm going to name it Auth controller. Okay. Alright, so now then let's see. Okay, so we need to annotate this as a REST controller, and then I'm gonna create a request mapping. So that's what I'm gonna say: API, and then /v1, and then /auth, right? And then here, let me see. So let me do this before adding all of the methods that we're gonna need to auto wire within here. Let me just name or create the class itself. So I'm gonna say @post mapping, and then I'm gonna name this authentication, or rather let's keep it simple. Let's just say login. Okay, so this is going to be a response body, right? So we're going to say public, and then I'm going to say response entity, and then from here I'm just going to say login. Alright, okay, so obviously this has to return a response. Let's see, let's do this. We're gonna say, alright, first let's do this. Let's say @request. It's gonna be body, and then I'm gonna say login request. Now we haven't created this class yet, so let's basically do that. So I want to create it within its own folders. So here I'm going to create another package. I'm going to name it DTO. The first package I'll create is going to be requests, and then the second one I'm going to create is responses. Let's just remove the request and say response. Alright, so let's create this login request class. Alright, so let's see, when the user logs in, if I'm not mistaken, it's mainly going to be the email and the password. So the only properties we need to create in here is private string, and then it's going to be email, and then the other one is going to be private string, and then password. And then obviously we need to get our getters and setters. Right, and that's basically it. Okay, so now let's see what happens here. Right, so in here I'm also going to create a auth response. So let's see, I'm gonna say auth response, right? So this is gonna return a number of things. The token itself, let me just do this private string and then token, right? Now there's other things as well, but for now I don't want to get into that at the present moment. I just want to not complicate things. Let me just say auth response class. Alright, so let me just double check my stuff here. Alright, so it's going to return some information, but for now let's do this. Let's say return it should be new, and then in here we're gonna return a response, and then HTTP status, which is going to be accepted. Alright, so here I'll do this. I'll say auth response, just gonna name it response. Alright, and then for now I'll say equals to new auth response. So for now we're not gonna put in anything here. We will get to this part. For now let's just set it up. So it will take two parameters, the token and the user details. So we will get to that in a moment. So here I want to say, oh yeah, let's first start off by importing some of the methods that we're going to need. So I'm going to say at auto wired, right? And then I'm going to say private password encoder. Now just so you know, the reason we are able to auto wire this is because here within our security class we added it here as a bean. And so like I said, when the Spring Security application runs, it basically initializes all these classes and all these these methods for us. Anything that has something like add bean or something like in configuration, or if I were to show you where's the JWT token, this service over here. So anything that has these, it basically allows us to be able to access them, because the application or Spring Boot basically just initializes these classes and methods at runtime. So that's why that's why we are able to basically auto wire some of these methods and objects and stuff. So let's do this. The next one should be at auto wired, and then private, and then this is going to be authentication manager. Okay, let's see, at okay, we're gonna need the user service. So don't forget, this one is the user service that we created over here ourselves. So I know sometimes it can get confusing as to which classes belong to Spring Security and Spring Boot and all of that. So this one is the one that we created here. Again, you'll see momentarily as to how we use it. Alright, so at auto wired, okay, and then here we're gonna add the what you call it, my custom user details service. And then we're gonna need the JWT token service. So this one, obviously, when the user authenticates and stuff, we're gonna add this within. We're gonna generate that token and then add it to the response, this response object here that we've created, and then we're gonna send it back to the user. All right. So I think that's most of the ones that we need. All right. So let's continue. Set. All right. So we're gonna say auth. Believe this is the one we need, just to be sure. I want to check my notes. Yeah, so the one we need is from this, where is it, the main, this namespace, security.core.authentication. all right, and then we're going to say authentication equals to authentication manager dot authenticate. I'm going to put this on the next line, and then in here we're going to need new username, username password authentication token. That's the one. And then in here we're going to put in login request dot get email, and then we also going to say login request dot get password. All right, so this is going to end here, and then now here, so basically this is gonna take the username. Basically, when we send the username and password, let's say for example from Postman, it's gonna be stored within this login request body over here. Basically we're sending it as a JSON request, and so Spring is gonna know how to convert this from a JSON request into an object. So this, make sure you annotate this as a request body, and then you create a request, a login request, and then obviously you have to set within the login request what parameters you are expecting. Basically, so far we are expecting an email and a password, and so when we send it as a JSON object, Spring already knows how to convert that. Since we've annotated this as a request body, it will convert that and store it within this object. So now here is where we are authenticating the user. The authentication manager basically takes in the information, and again, all of the stuff that we set up within the previous videos is gonna work with this object over here. So it's gonna log in, get the email and password, and then authenticate the user. And basically all of the stuff that you see here, when we load the user by email, it puts it in this my custom user details class that we created, and then from there on it's basically gonna take that the password and the email that the user provided, which is basically coming in here, and then basically authenticates the user. If that passes, then we can proceed obviously from here. Otherwise it's gonna kick a it's gonna throw this what you call it, this username not found exception. Again, I'm aware, because of how Spring Security is, how you go about setting up Spring Security, you'll bounce around and stuff, but unfortunately that's how basically they're setting up, that's how the setup goes. So just make sure within the previous video you set it up the way I did. Again, we are still gonna go to a part where we have to test and stuff. Anything that's not working, obviously we will slowly or bit by bit work on fixing all of the issues that we encounter, in case if we made any mistakes. Alright, so let me stop rambling and let's continue. So we are in the auth controller. The authentication manager is going to authenticate, and then from there on we're going to proceed with our login process. So here we're going to say set user object, right? So now here I'm gonna say user details service, right? Then I'm gonna put this on the next line. I'm gonna say my custom user details service. Obviously it's the one that's up here, right? And then we're gonna say dot loads by username. So now we're adding the user onto the request. So we're gonna get the email, and then from here, okay, so I'm gonna need to cast this. I'm gonna say okay. Let me just stretch this out. Okay, so now we're gonna say set security context. Right, so we're gonna add the security context holder, and then from here we're gonna say dot get context, right, dot set authentication, and then we're gonna say authentication, right? Right, so this is this object over here. And then now what we're gonna do is we're gonna say generate token, right? So we're gonna say string we're gonna say JWT dot generate token, and then from there we're gonna add the user details service that we added here. I think I made a mistake here. My apologies for that. My custom user details. I'm gonna say user details, and then here we're gonna say my custom user details. Alright, my apologies for that. I made a mistake. It shouldn't have been service. It should have been details. So here we're gonna say user details. Alright, so now that we are on this part now, so we need to add the token and the user details obviously to the response. So within our auth response object over here, we are going to add a couple of things. So I'm gonna first auth response, and then this is gonna take in a token, and then the other thing it's gonna take is my custom user detail service, okay. Alright, so now let's add this as well. Okay, so we're gonna say this dot token right equals to token, and then this dot my So now let's create the getters and setters. Okay, the first one I'm going to create is for the token. Right, and then what else do we need? Alright, so remember, like I said, when we send the response back, there's only a couple of things that we need to send to the user. We don't need to send everything with the user. So now remember our custom user details service, it has all these other methods within it. Now if we send it as it is, right, it will send almost everything, and then we don't need to do that, right? So what I want to send is a couple of things, so I'm going to create a couple of methods within here. So the first two are going to be get the username, or the first name and password, first name and last name, right? So now remember, let me actually just type it out. So let's say public string, and then let's say get user name, right? And then we're gonna say return this dot get this dot my custom details dot get username, right? The next one is going to be public string get first name. First name, oh no, sorry, my custom details dot get okay, we didn't create those methods, so let's do this. Get um, first name, right? And then I'm gonna copy this, do the same thing for last name. Last name, last name. Okay, so let me see, what else do we need? I think that's pretty much it. I'm just checking my notes, hold on. Oh yeah, we need to also get the user ID. Let me paste this again. I'm just gonna paste it on top of the get username method. So this one is gonna be get user ID. Get user ID. This is gonna be an integer. I think that's pretty much it. So the user, when they log in and everything, when we send the information back, we're gonna send back the user ID, the username, the first name, and last name. This one I don't think we will need, but I'm just gonna add it here just for, you know, for just some extra information and stuff. So alright, so now remember, we're getting this from the my custom user details, so we need to come into this part here, right? So now where are we gonna get the username, first name, and last name? So remember, we're taking in this object, this user object over here, and then we're setting it to the one that's within the local class, right? So here we can create a number of methods. So let's say, let's paste we're gonna change, I'm just pasting what we copied in the last class, right? So let's change this to user get first name, right? And then let's just copy this, paste it a couple of times. This time we're gonna say get last name, right? And then here we're gonna say get last name. Sorry, let me put this down just like in this order, right? And then we're gonna paste that. We're gonna say get user ID, and then here we're gonna say get user ID, and this is an integer. All right, so now within our auth response, these ones shouldn't show any more order, errors. So we got the last name, we got the first name, username, and ID. So now don't get confused. Here we're saying username, but what we're actually returning is the email, because that's what the user is going to be using to log in. So I just kept it the same because this is the method that Spring is going to be looking at when authenticating and stuff. So I think that's it for this class. So here what we need to do is we're going to set the token, right, and then the user details, right, and then basically by setting this object, this is the response we're going to send back to the user if they have successfully authenticated and stuff. All right, so I just want to see if there's anything that we're missing here. I think that's pretty much it that we needed. Again, I'm going to stop it here. So in the next video, I think for the authentication part we should be done here. Hopefully we didn't do anything wrong, but in any case, if we did, we'll fix it along the way. In the next video, I'm gonna then focus on the method that we're gonna use to register. I think after that we should be done. I think there's 2 more videos, and then we're gonna move towards building and designing the mobile app. Again, we're building it in Android, so I think there's 2 more videos. There's the registration part. We're gonna handle the registration part within this very same class, and then there's something else I need to show you in terms of there's something that we're gonna use from this class of ours here. There's a method that we need to create within this class, but there's another method that we're gonna create, but we're gonna take some few things from this class itself. I'll show you that I think in the second to last video before we get to the mobile app, because we still have to test and see if everything that we've done so far is correct or not. Otherwise it's no point building the app if we didn't get anything right here. Alright, so I think that's it for the video, guys. Again, thanks for the support, and then if you've liked what you've seen so far, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and then I'll see you within the next video. Thanks again. Cheers for now.